We are in Dixon, just off Highway 80. I am with J-E Paino of Ruhstaller beer. I know you don't want to say the beer, but if you don't know what it is, it's beer, and it's wildly popular in this area. But J.E., you say the Sacramento Valley and beer have a very long history.
A very long one and a very rich one. Probably over 100 years ago, we were the beer capital of the West Coast. We had the largest brewery west of the Mississippi River in downtown Sacramento. We were the largest hop growing region in the world. We exported hops even back to England and Germany. And that really was who Sacramento, and frankly the whole valley, was known for, was hops and was beer.
You are not a beer maker by trade. No. You were a business person.
Yep.
And somehow the Ruhstaller story and your heart collided and something happened and you have created this great beer. So give us in a nutshell how on earth that happened.
When we got started 5 years ago, we learned this history. We learned why Sacramento kind of had lost its position, that it had to do with economics and not quality. We said, hey, maybe we should get going here. And one of the first things we did was we put Ruhstaller and the word Sacramento on the front of a bottle.
Who is this guy?
Yeah,
we all know his name now, but who is he?
Who was he? So he was the premier brewer back in that era. And so he kind of epitomized, if you will, the ethos. You know, immigrant comes here with nothing, works with others, puts two and two together, takes advantage of our area, the river, the ability to transport things, the train, the weather, the hops, and ends up becoming one of the most prominent people in the city. And it inspired us. And we felt like, well, you know what, if it inspires us, maybe it'll have the same effect on everyone else. We said, well, let's see if we can kind of re-earn the title of Sacramento's beer. And we knew and were challenged early on to earn it by doing it. That we couldn't just stick a name on a bottle.
And talk about that, because Cordy Brothers, which is a well-known grocery store in East Sacramento, Mr. Cordy had a challenge for you. Talk about that story.
Yeah, so early on, we put Ruhstaller and Sacramento on the front of our bottle, first beer we made. And that winter, Cordy Brothers bought a lot of it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Who are these guys? And so I went in January and I said, you know, Daryl, thank you very much for buying all our beer. And he said, you guys are the guys with the name Ruhstaller on the bottle. I said, yes, sir. You guys are the guys with the name Sacramento on the bottle. I said, huh, that's us. And I was then expecting, a pat on the back.
Right.
I didn't get a pat on the back. We got a challenge. He says, you don't deserve those two words unless you're growing your own hops here. And so that got us started. We planted about 3/4 of an acre with Sean McNamara in Winters. And after that year, we had a great harvest, made a great beer. Sean decided not to continue growing. We wanted to keep going. And so we partnered with Rich Collins here in Dixon and now have about 7.5 acres. We've met Daryl's challenge. And we're now about 95% Sacramento grown hops, which there's no other brewery in the state that's more than 10% California grown hops. So
wow, that's huge.
We're doing it a little differently, and it's fun.
And tell me about the logo, the guy with the cigar. Somebody asked me if it was a Kennedy. I didn't think it was a Kennedy.
We get Kennedy a lot. We get Jack London sometimes.
Okay.
We kind of found this image. We call him Jimmy. And we call him the proverbial grandson of Captain Frank Ruhstaller.
Okay.
So he's a guy that plays hard, works hard. He's a guy that you want to have a beer with. And for us, he kind of carried on the spirit of Captain Frank that we didn't see in an image, but we saw in him and by his actions. And for us, Jimmy is this guy that, is who we are today. We're playful, but we're serious. And we work hard, and we can sometimes drink hard too.